An idea when Alex wanted to fight him.
Alex Pereira has finally spoken out about the controversy surrounding Magomed Ankalaev. After weeks of silence, the UFC champion decided to share his side of the story. His comments have fans and analysts debating whether they clarify things or make the rivalry even more heated. Before sharing his side on the Ariel Helwani show, Pereira was asked about the delays in making the Ankalaev fight. He explained that it wasn't him holding things back, but rather the UFC's scheduling. Pereira stressed that fans shouldn't think he avoided Ankalaev. Instead, he said he always aimed for a specific time frame and wanted the fight to happen under the right conditions.
Well, start from before the first fight. Seemed that the UFC now even wanted to put him in. Alex multiple times said that he'll show interest in fighting him. They will not make the fight happen. Okay, fight happened, went the way that it went. Since then, we kind of had an idea when Alex wanted to fight him. It was already a conversation with the UFC, and this guy kept tweeting that, I want to fight this day, I want to fight this day. Alex already had a time frame for August. Couldn't happen in August because of the UFC, but and then October. But he the one that kept saying, I'm ready, I cannot fight, I'm ready, I want to fight, I'm ready, I want to fight. But seeing that this dude not even have power inside his own organization, you know. So, on Alex's perspective, he's fighting the time frame that he aimed for it. Not that he turned down fight or anything like that. He aimed for August. UFC gonna put together in August, they pushed to October.
Pereira also opened up during his interview with Ariel Helwani. He explained that much of the drama came from poor communication. According to him, Ankalaev reacted to things he saw online without knowing the full story. Pereira said this created confusion between both camps and the UFC, but now the fight is confirmed and that's what really counts.
Falta de comunicação.
So a little bit was miscommunication because Alex kind of found out through social media, stuff like that, and he was upset back then. That's why he sent a Twitter. But he regretted he was wrong because he didn't know talks that was going on, anything that was going on. So it was kind of miscommunication between camp manager and the UFC. It's not UFC's fault. So, and then later, like, he just got this fight going on, and that's what matters for him.
Okay. So can we clear that up? Because you did send a tweet from your account.
Later in the same interview, Pereira was asked about Ankalaev's behavior and the way he presents himself. Pereira didn't hold back, saying Ankalaev seems more focused on staying visible in the media than proving himself inside the cage. He also pointed out that the light heavyweight division is already moving forward with new matchups that keep the spotlight active.
Honestly, I don't know Ali's story, you know what I mean? I don't know his background. But we know that he seems to be a guy that likes to be on the media, like to shoot. Like even right now, look, we started talking about Ankalaev, then his name came out. So good or bad, we are talking about him, his name is still floating around the media. And he said, Alex said that the way that he carries himself, he don't know about his past, but maybe he carries himself like he was a super MMA champion that retired, and now he's a super manager, and now but you still want to be relevant and stay in the media, you know.
Ele parece um cara que estava acostumado com a fama, parou de lutar e tem que continuar aparecendo, porque ele quer aparecer mais do que os atletas.
Seems to be a guy that was used to fame, stopped fighting, but now keep trying to show up using their fighters.
Todo mundo vê isso.
Everybody sees that.
The division right now is really interesting because there's this title fight, but you also have Carlos Ulberg against Dominic Reyes a week before your fight, and we had Khalil Roundtree beat Jamal Hill, and then he's going to fight Yuri on your same card. First, can I ask, did you see the Khalil-Jamal fight?
Moving on, analyst James Lynch started his breakdown with the Magomed Ankalaev. He explained that Pereira may be the bigger fighter, but Ankalaev holds the advantage of being younger and more experienced in MMA. Lynch noted about Pereira's kickboxing background, but emphasized Ankalaev's resume. With a 21-1 record, 10 knockouts, and being the first Russian light heavyweight champion, Ankalaev already brings a strong profile into this rematch.
6'3" to 6'4", 75-inch reach compared to 80. So Alex Pereira going to be a little bit bigger, but he's also 5 years older. Magomed Ankalaev with more MMA fights. We know the kickboxing background of Alex Poatan Pereira. But let's start first with the current champion, Magomed Ankalaev, as we dig a little bit deeper into what he is going to be bringing to this fight. So I mentioned it there. He's got a 21-1 record. He's got 10 knockouts, no submissions, and 10 decisions. I mentioned it there. He's going to be 5 years younger than Alex Pereira. He's the current light heavyweight champion. He's the first Russian light heavyweight champion in UFC history.
Lynch then detailed Ankalaev's run in the UFC. He mentioned his 4 performance bonuses, a 9-fight win streak, and a 14-fight unbeaten streak, second only to Jon Jones. After debuting in 2013, Ankalaev climbed steadily with wins over top names like Smith, Walker, and Santos. Lynch reminded fans that Ankalaev already beat Pereira once, which sets the stage for an intense rematch in the light heavyweight division.
UFC history, he's got performance of the night 4 times over Martin Pershino, Dalcha, Ion Cutelaba, and Johnny Walker. He's got the second longest win streak in UFC light heavyweight division history at 9. He's also got the second longest unbeaten streak in UFC light heavyweight division history at 14 behind Jon Jones. Ankalaev made his amateur debut way back in April of 2013, made his pro debut in January of 2014, and then made his UFC debut in a loss against Paul Craig in a fight he was winning and ended up getting submitted at the very last second there. Overall, Magomed Ankalaev is 12-1-1 in the UFC. He's got 5 stoppage victories. Some notable wins include 2 wins over Ion Cutelaba, Nikita Krylov, Volkan Ozdemir, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, Johnny Walker, Alexander Rakic, and most recently Alex Pereira, who will be fighting in this rematch.
Furthermore, Morin Visser opened up about Pereira's situation and the challenges ahead. He admitted that facing Ankalaev would be tough and noted Pereira's age could make a difference in future matchups. Still, he emphasized that nothing is completely decided yet. The door remains open for opportunities, but for now, the focus is on understanding the current situation and planning strategically.
No, I would love that. I think Dricus would love it. I honestly think that he's not going to beat Ankalaev. We all think so. Ankalaev's just really, really good. But it's still somewhere planned in our future. I know Pereira's getting on the older side. I think he's 38, turning 39 soon. So, and then obviously the UFC, with what's happening in the middleweight division, there's a lot of things happening for us and we need to focus on what we're doing now. But we are employees only, so...
Visser then discussed how the UFC's schedule affects their plans. With so much happening in the middleweight division, he stressed the importance of focusing on the present. He explained that while fighters may want certain matchups, they're ultimately employees who must follow UFC decisions. Still, he added that if Pereira achieves a win, a future fight could become a serious consideration.
Let's see what happens with that fight. Let's see what happens with us tomorrow night. Let's see what happens with the Imamov fight in 2 weeks. We would like to stay in the middleweight division, but if Pereira wins, it's something that me and Dricus will honestly really consider.
And by the way, a fight in South Africa, that would be good. PFL has done it. It's time to bring the UFC there, right?
Yeah, so PFL put the stamp down. I think it was a really good event. I think they're doing another one this month in South Africa.
Finally, Visser addressed the idea of bringing major fights to South Africa. He praised PFL for holding successful events there, showing the market can support big shows. He argued that the UFC could do the same, potentially creating an even bigger impact.
So, yeah, they've done well. I know the story with, it's tough to get, these guys, they sell out the event. That's not even a numbered event with 18 to 20,000 tickets here. So there's not such a big stadium there. I think the biggest is maybe 10 or 12,000. But, and I don't think they'll put a numbered event up there. So Dricus is champion. If they do a non-numbered event, which is very possible, it will be very good for us, very good for the country. I think if PFL was willing to do it, and they did it well, I'm sure the UFC just can copy and not paste it, because they don't do that. Copy and just do it a million times better.
Dude, well, I hope to see it. I appreciate your time.
Adding on the Ariel Helwani show, Pereira was asked about potential future matchups and whether the UFC or other fighters were interested. He clarified that he doesn't see UFC pushing certain fights and suggested that Ankalaev might not be eager either. He reflected on his previous opponents, highlighting the ones he's already faced and acknowledging fighters who are currently making a name for themselves. He ended by noting the rising contenders in the division.
Descartar. Né? Já lutei com o Khalil, com o Giri, pô, 2 vezes. Eu acho que com o Carlos Huber. Eu acho com ele. E é o cara que vem se destacando, né?
Honest, I think Ankalaev, I don't think the UFC will be interested in putting him there again.
Okay.
Beat Jiri twice, defeat Khalil. So Uber seems to be the guy that is being climbing up the ranks and, you know, showing good performance. So probably him.
They would never say it.
Moving on, Chael Sonnen shared his perspective on what it means for a champion to lead a division. He emphasized that the top fighter has responsibilities beyond just winning fights. Being the champion means holding the division together, managing media attention, and guiding storylines, which affects not only the fighter, but the entire division's visibility and credibility in the UFC.
Why are we all out in search of something that we've already got? And if Pereira is to win, he's not bumping up. I don't predict. They don't love that concept. Now, as much as I tell you they don't love that concept, we've done it twice in 2025, right? Islam and Topuria. But they don't love that concept. If you're the king of the division, you hold down your division. Whether you got to fight these guys or not, you are the leader of these guys.
Sonnen continued, explaining how champions also manage attention and responsibility for the division. He noted that a fighter's role includes controlling media narratives, gatekeeping competition, and maintaining the division's storylines. This responsibility is as important as the fights themselves because it keeps the division relevant and engaging for fans, while making each matchup meaningful.
You are the one responsible for the house. You're the one responsible for the gate. You're the one responsible for the media and attention that gets brought to the entire division. And what good does that do us? If Pereira wins and he's going to go defend the belt at 205 pounds, whether it's a rematch or some new guy comes in, what good does that do us? Is that a match that you want to see? Sure, we can start from scratch, we can do the work and we can do the bells and whistles, but there's also something to be said for low-hanging fruit. These guys have been fighting for a long time. There's a ton of promotion around it. The storylines are already there. Why are we in search of one that doesn't yet exist? What do you do if Alex Pereira loses this fight? Because one thing that's very positive is it doesn't drop Pereira's stock. It would not hurt him at all. He went out, he was competitive, it's a matchup issue. Ankalaev had a little bit more drive since he'd never done it before, and it was a close fight and that little bit of drive, but no matter how close or how hard that fight was, it was also very clear. There wasn't a question of who won. It was hard, but it was clear. So I'm just bringing that to your attention. If I ask you about that fight, I'm not asking you, do you want to see them fight again?
On the other side, Michael Bisping and Paul Felder analyzed Pereira's gym routine before his fight. They stressed that fighters shouldn't push their bodies too hard on stage during early warm-ups. The first session should be gradual, allowing muscles to adapt and stamina to build. Overdoing exercises for appearance rather than function can backfire. They explained how a fighter's preparation mindset reflects in their performance and overall readiness inside the octagon.
Yourself, and we'll get to Brian Ortega because he almost did.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute. So the first time that you use your body properly, you don't want it to be in the octagon. You want to start the engine a little bit. Yeah, you want to get a sweat on, you want to get a warm up, but you also, you know, because the first time that you do it, you're like, I'm getting out of breath really quick, you know, because you've just almost killed yourself the day before. You don't want the first time that you start the engine to be on the stage in front of the world, you know, but to be doing squats and getting a pump on so that he looks good on camera. I was like, what is he doing? I couldn't believe it.
It shows where your head's at. It shows how you think as a fighter, and unfortunately, it's not the right thing. I mean,
they then broke down the risks of overloading muscles before a fight. Heavy or explosive exercises, even with moderate weight, can drain glycogen, the fuel muscles need for peak performance. Bisping and Felder explained that mismanaged warm-ups reduce energy during critical moments. This also reflects a fighter's mindset, showing whether they prioritize functional preparation or unnecessary showmanship.
couple push-ups, a little jog on the treadmill, a little warm-up. Okay, still don't think that's the way to go, but I could understand that. But lifting, squats,
jumping off the air whilst doing the squats, explosive
jump
work.
squats,
jumping off the air. And granted, he only had 45 pounds on each side, so 135 pounds. So not exactly going heavy, okay? Certainly not for a guy that's built like he is. But even still, you're draining the legs of precious glycogen that you're trying to restore from the weight cut that you just did. Glycogen is the fuel in the muscles, by the way.
Yes.
So to get all scientific on you. But crazy.
Furthermore, James Lynch explained how Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev match up, focusing on their previous opponents and fight history. Ankalaev has finished mostly lower-level fighters, while Pereira has one-punch knockout power. Lynch pointed out that past injuries, fighter experience, and opponent level all affect predictions.
Honestly, if you look at Ankalaev and who he's finished, they're lower-level opposition when it comes to the guys that he's finished: Johnny Walker, Anthony Smith, Kutalaba. He hasn't been able to finish, a Jan Blachowicz or a Thiago Santos or Volkan Ozdemir. So he does have finishing ability. I just don't think, and actually that Anthony Smith one was more of an injury than anything. I remember Smith was injured and basically couldn't do much, and so Ankalaev was able to take advantage. So kind of the point I'm making is that Ankalaev doesn't have that one-punch knockout power that Pereira does. So I highly doubt he knocks out Pereira. I also highly doubt he submits him. He doesn't have any submission victories, and so I think decision is more likely here for Ankalaev. That's where 48% of his wins come. Now, I may be wrong about this. I'm just going to say it. I think Pereira basically has to knock out Magomed Ankalaev to win this fight, for the simple fact that I think that Ankalaev over a 5-round fight...
Lynch highlighted why Pereira would need a knockout to win. Ankalaev is fresh, skilled in multiple areas, and has strong striking defense, making it hard to beat him over 5 rounds. Pereira's past fights show he can finish late, but also may be affected by age or past setbacks. This shows that stamina, strategy, and physical condition play a big role in who might win the rematch.
I think he's a little bit fresher. I don't think he's going to slow down by any means. And he's also got pretty good striking defense. So I don't think, I think if it goes to the scorecards again, I think with Ankalaev's, tool belt, so to speak, with him having a little bit more in the weapons department, I think that would favor him in if this fight goes the distance. So, and not to mention, Ankalaev's the champ. He already won. I could see the judges favoring that as well. So I have a hard time seeing Pereira winning a decision here. I think Pereira would have to knock him out. And easier said than done, because Magomed Ankalaev never been finished. Never been knocked out, I should say, in his career. He has been submitted, and like I said, that was a last-second submission loss to Paul Craig. We could also make the argument, too, that, yes, Pereira could have been compromised going into this fight, but how do you explain the Khalil Roundtree fight? That was a fight where he was heavily favored to win. He was losing some of those rounds, and it was only him getting the finish late in the fight that he was able to, get the win over Khalil Roundtree. There could be a
Finally, Lynch emphasized Ankalaev's strength and consistency. He is well-rounded with good wrestling, striking, and defense, which makes him tough to beat. Standing toe-to-toe with a dangerous striker like Pereira proves a skill. Lynch also considered Pereira's recent struggles and possible decline, and this analysis shows that even with hope for a turnaround, Ankalaev's abilities and minimal weaknesses make him the likely winner in the rematch.
Possibility of a decline on Alex Pereira. He's 38 years old now. That's something to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at him. Is there, at some point, age does catch up to everyone? Are we seeing a bit of a decline with Pereira? Again, maybe he did have the illness and the injury, and that's the reason he didn't win the last fight, but I think there's also an argument for a possible decline there as well, too. The big thing, though, for me, this really has more to do with Ankalaev. He has very little weaknesses. He's good everywhere, good ground game, good wrestling, good stand-up. I showed you the stats from the last fight. The fact that he stood and traded with Alex Pereira, a guy who's extremely dangerous, means that his stand-up's quite good. And then again, if you look at the striking defense on his end with Ankalaev, it's still over 50%. It's almost 60% his striking defense. So he's tough to hit. So I think with all those things factored in, I think Ankalaev wins. I don't know what Pereira's done over the last couple months that's going to make him win. I think Pereira and his team, and I think even the UFC...
Alex Pereira has finally broken his silence, but the controversy is far from over. With Ankalaev's unbeaten streak and Pereira's knockout power, this rematch promises fireworks. The analysts are split, the camps are confident, and the UFC machine keeps rolling. One thing's certain, when these two step into the octagon, only one will walk out as the undisputed king. The light heavyweight division has never been more explosive. Will Pereira's experience and devastating striking overcome Ankalaev's youth and well-rounded skill set?